Cucamonga burning in Southern California. It surely feels like early summer here in the daytime. What else is new, right? I'm Nancy Letitia Marin. I'm a line editor, copy editor, and proofreader at thelanguageagent.com. Today we have the lovely Cherie Trask, a ghostwriter, also hailing from SoCal. SoCal represents, bit gangsta today. How are you feeling?
So good. So excited to be here.
All right. So ready to rock and roll, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Tell us a little bit about what you do, your niche, and your typical and ideal clients.
Yeah, all the things. So I have been a professional freelance writer for 10 years, and my niche is specifically in the personal development, mindset, and empowerment space. So I do ghostwriting. I've ghostwritten 4 books. I also do book coaching. So I take people through how to write a book, and I have an online course around writing books. I also am a content creator. So I work with multiple brands as far as getting their vision, giving it a voice, bringing it out into the world in a way that attracts their audience, engages their audience, and creates that connection that I think more so now than ever we're really desiring. And I love my work. I absolutely love what I do. I'm super fortunate to do all this stuff, and I'm great to be connected to you.
Oh, awesome. Gotta love the internet. It just connects everybody, and it's self-publishing is huge now, because back in the day, I didn't even know about all this. Not until 2013.
Yeah.
Musicians were the early adopters of technology, and writers, editors, publishers. They came in later, much later. I don't know why, but it was just kind of weird,
Yeah.
And this may sound like a silly question, but what's a ghostwriter? What does a ghostwriter do? And there are some people who don't know about it, which is surprising.
Totally. I mean, when I first was asked to ghostwrite a book, I didn't know what it was. I was like, what do you mean? So ghostwriting is essentially, I take somebody's vision and I write the book under their name as a ghost. And nobody ever knows that I wrote the book unless I'm able to share, which that's not always the case. So
yeah, it's
pretty simple, straightforward.
We're not talking about Casper here.
Yeah.
The friendly ghost. If you're a coach, you gotta be friendly. That's
Yeah.
And what are the advantages of ghostwriting?
So as far as ghostwriting is concerned, a lot of people, they sit down to write, and either they have writer's block, or they notice that they're writing something that doesn't actually sound like a book at all. It sounds like a cute little blog post or a journal entry or something, which is lovely. But if you're looking to actually create a story, you need a story. So ghostwriters, it's a great place to invest if you've got the extra cash flow to invest, because it's not cheap. I'll just say that. But the benefits is that you get your book written, number one, which increases brand awareness, authority, income, impact, all of the things that people write books for. It's not going to happen if you don't actually write the book, right? And if you're somebody who's been sitting on an idea for years, which so many of the people that come to me are, that's a big piece of it, is saying like, I know I want to get this done, and I know I'm not going to do it on my own, so I need you to help me. So that's where I come in.
Yeah, especially not just for business owners, but like professionals in general too.
Oh yeah.
Because I have people who are employees around writing books on the side to go for as a side income.
Yeah.
So we're trying to reach out to those people too. Just anybody can write, especially nowadays. People have nothing to do on a laptop.
More time. So, yeah.
Getting your voices out there. And who should consider ghostwriting and who shouldn't?
So anybody who has a fire in their belly to create a book and is ready to push go, if you just know yourself, you don't have the time, or you just aren't a writer per se, then you're the perfect person to hire a ghostwriter. And if you're somebody who's like, I have so many ideas, I have no idea what I actually want to write about, I just want to write a book because I feel like I'm supposed to, probably don't invest in a ghostwriter, because that process takes a while. But it's also a large financial investment, and it will be a waste of your money if you're not clear on what you're looking to do. I should say though, if you have some ideas, a ghostwriter can help you to solidify the clarity of those ideas to be able to make them happen. It's going to be up to you ultimately.
You have to be very disciplined about it, not just the cost. I mean, the project management, because you're doing everything from scratch. It's hard to do that.
100%.
You just have to be very committed.
Yep.
Yeah, and when it comes to rates, you have payment plans. How does it work?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Oh, when it comes to rates, do you have payment plans? How does it work?
Yeah, so typically my clients will pay me a third at the contract signing, a third when first draft is written, and the final after the final's done. So rates start at $35,000 for an entire manuscript. So a 200-page, say, book, which is around 40,000 words, and goes upwards from there, just depending on the book concept, how much work is involved. I've had some clients that they're like, here's my idea. I don't actually want to be involved in any of it. It's going to cost you more if I have to do all of the work and I have to figure things out without your help, right?
Yeah, that's so hard to actually do all the scheduling for them too. They'll schedule all the writing and everything.
Yeah, I mean, as a ghostwriter, they're not writing anything, right? Like I'm writing all of the things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more about my own time management at that point.
You must be a master when it comes to time management.
I can be disciplined.
Yeah. How can people realistically budget for ghostwriting services?
I don't know that there's a realistic way to budget. I will say that the people that know that they want to write a book and they know that they're going to hire a ghostwriter or they've thought about hiring a ghostwriter usually have more income. So it doesn't come as a huge shock if they've done any research. There are the people that have come to me and say, you know, my budget's $5,000. Can I hire you as my ghostwriter? No, but you can either take that and invest in me taking you through the process of writing the book with you, not for you. And that's a lower price point.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like anything that you're going to budget for, right? Like the investment is what it is. And how much do you need to allocate every month to be able to make that happen? Is it a priority for you? That's a big one too, is like really getting honest about the priority of this. And if you keep saying you want to do something and you keep putting it off, is it actually a priority? Or does it just sound good to do, right?
Yeah. Serious people only.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes that takes a conversation though, right? Like they think they're serious until they have the conversation. They're like, actually, I'm not really that serious about it, I guess.
So it's kind of easier to weed people out.
Yeah. I mean, we've all got a story. I think that that's the cool part, you know, is everybody has a story. It's just a matter of what modality do you want to share that? And it doesn't have to always be a book. So that's what I tell people that come to me wanting to tell a story. It's like, there's so many ways to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially with technology. I mean, it can take many forms.
Yeah.
And speaking of technology, people are finding ghostwriters, editors, whatnot, you know, different professionals on outsourcing platforms. I'm trying to get people to stay away from them. So what are the best places to find ghostwriters?
You know, honestly, I can only speak from my own experience, and I've been 100% referral-based business. So it's all just been word of mouth. And online, sure, you can Google ghostwriter, right? And it's going to take you interviewing those people and finding somebody that you really vibe with. Because number one, a lot of what you're going to share is going to feel personal, even if it's not about you, right? It's a personal process to tell a story with either your knowledge, wisdom, experiences, all of those things. And you want to find somebody who's going to feel super connected to you, that you can trust, to be able to share those things so nothing gets left out.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm a big fan of networking and and referrals. I mean, because it's the personal touch, especially when it comes to personal stories. I mean, it can get really, really private too. Private details about your life, and somebody's writing about them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And what should people look in a ghostwriter? What do you think?
What should they look for?
Yeah, in a ghostwriter.
Yeah. So again, it just goes back to, do you vibe with them? Are they able to take your voice and translate it into words? For me, that's one of my superpowers, is I'm able to take my clients, whoever they are, however they speak, and kind of ingrain that into my own person and be able to express that in a way that feels, sounds like them. So you want to look for somebody who's going to authentically translate your voice, somebody who's going to carry out your vision. So what I see from a lot of people that I've spoken to is they'll tell somebody, this is what I want to be said. They'll get the finished product and they'll be like, that's not at all what I meant. So you want to make sure that there's clear communication, there's clarity all around, really, on how you're going to tell the story in a way that is going to feel truly authentic to you. You want to trust them, you want to like them. That's a big one. You want to like them.
Oh, yes.
There's some professions that you can hire just for their skill set, and that's cool, but you're going to spend a lot of time with this person having conversations. You better like who they are.
Yes.
I would also say it's really,
yeah.
Yes, I would also say it's really important to have aligned values, because that's going to help with the conversation throughout and being able to translate even easier. I don't want to say easy because it's not an easy process, but easier.
Yeah, that's how you personally vet clients, right? That's going to be my next question. Like, values and vibes, the 2 V's.
Yes, 100%.
Just mostly that.
And, important.
Yeah. And what are the pitfalls in hiring a ghostwriter? How can people avoid them?
I think clarity, right? Like, it's like anything. If you hire a painter to come to your house and you're like, I would love you to paint my house. They're like, great, what color? You're like, I'm not really sure. And you end up with this bright pink house. You come out, you're totally pissed, right? Like, I didn't want a bright pink house. And the painter goes, well, you told me you didn't know. So I just kind of went with what I thought you might like. Same with a ghostwriter. You have to have clarity, because without clarity and what you want to translate, what you want to share, the person that is helping you has no idea. So they're pulling things literally out of their booty, going like, does this work? Not only is that a waste of time, but it's a waste of investment. It's a waste of the entire process. Yeah.
Yeah. Time is money.
You've got to have that clarity.
And you're not a psychic, not line of work.
I'm pretty intuitive, I will say that. So that's been a good part of my business. Right. Yeah.
So what's your definition of a good ghostwriter?
I would say somebody who can translate your voice, somebody who can be authentic in your messaging, somebody who is able to take on exactly what you're giving them and create a story from it, not just a jumble of words on pages that sounds good. Like, it needs to be a story. So it's a big difference.
Yeah. You can just hire anybody who can text for you.
Yeah, or writing a blog post, right? That's what I see a lot. It's people are like, oh yeah, I write content all the time. And it's like, that's amazing. That's a great skill to have. And it's a great starting point, but it is not the same as creating a book.
Oh no, because you have to take that person's personality and everything.
Yeah. And have it structured in a way that flows throughout the pages, that continues to take you through and through. I mean, how many times have you picked up a book and you get through a couple chapters and you're like, man, I really want to read this anymore. Right?
Yeah.
There's something missing.
Yes.
So that's what you don't want.
Yeah, exactly. And do you have a minimum word count for projects? And would you recommend ghostwriting for shorter books? I thought I'd ask you, because a lot of people are thinking about hiring ghostwriters for longer books, like standard length books, but there are also a lot of people wanting to publish shorter books and they don't know how to write or have the time for it.
Oh yeah, of course. I don't have like a word minimum at all, but I would charge based on project, based on what that scope looked like. So yeah, I've done much smaller projects, like ebooks, like smaller guides that are like, say, 50 pages. Yeah.
Yeah, because I edit a lot of books. They're like about 13,000 words to 27 or to 35 max, and then that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, they'll be happy to find out that you can work with shorter books.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And what's your typical ghostwriting process? Walk us through it step by step.
Yeah, so typically I meet with the client and we start with a 90-minute to 2-hour deep dive, and I have a series of questions. So I ask a million things. Some of it is repetitive because I want to make sure that there's congruency in what they're saying, because if there's not, then I get to catch that and say, you said this here, you said this here, what do you really mean? So that gives me clarity, right? Typically I'll meet with them about 3 times throughout the beginning of the process to make sure that we're solidified. It's me and my literary agent. We create the book outline with the client. From there, I create the rest of the process and flow for how we're going to write the book, essentially. And I get to start writing. So as soon as I start writing, I'll send them over the first chapter and I'll say, how does this feel? What would you change about your voice? Is this the vision that you had for this work? They give me feedback. It's a dance, at the beginning, especially it's a dance because you're trying to get to know somebody who maybe you've never met.
Yes.
And you don't necessarily know their story inside and out, right? So being able to have, put the ego aside and have the conversations to gain clarity without judgment, knowing that we're all human and we're all trying to figure out how to best support one another. Once the process is done and they say, yes, you've got my voice, da, 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 every chapter I submit back to them so they can kind of review it and make any modifications from the perspective of their voice. And then, the book gets written and sent over to them, and they decide from there. Like, do they want to pitch to publisher? Do they want to self-publish? There's so many different things when it comes to the publishing world too. Like, that's a whole different animal.
Yes.
Deciding what you want, though, ultimately is super important. And as you said earlier, the publishing world has changed so much. So it used to be that everybody wanted to pitch to a traditional publisher. And I understand the appeal of that for sure. But self-publishing has come so far. And I always recommend to my clients, if you don't already have an audience that is established and engaging in your content, then totally go the self-publishing route. Get yourself out there, get some social proof, all of this stuff from the book that you've already written. And you'd be surprised, there are a lot of people that get picked up by traditional publishers simply by having a well-published book that was self-published. So
can get the ball rolling a lot faster.
yeah, it's so much faster. I mean, you save yourself literally like a year.
Yes, I've heard like a year or 2 or even a few years.
Yeah. Yep.
And you have no control over what you're going to do. So.
Nope.
Which totally sucks, but it comes with the territory.
Yeah.
So do you also do some sort of book coaching? Oh, you already did say that. Writing coaching.
Yeah, I do.
So the big picture stuff, the outlining, the structure, organization, themes, content, the whole shebang.
Yeah, so I have a book coaching program that's a 90-day program, which is phase 1. And I take my clients through writing their books start to finish. So at the end of 90 days, you have your first manuscript. If they decide that they want to go into phase 2, we do another 90 days. And in that 90 days, we do some rewrites, developmental editing, do some of those things to kind of really make it the story, beef it up a little bit, any more testimonials, little nuggets that might need to be added from there. And then I hand them off to I have a self-publishing partner that I just adore. They do a great job, that I would hand them off to them.
You can't do everything yourself, obviously.
No. A lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, so I heard that you help people write books. So can you help me, with my PR and my marketing and all that? I'm like, no. I write books. I'm not a marketing agency. I'm not a book publisher. I can tell you how to go, the route to go and who to talk to, but I'm not going to do all of those things. I'm not personally an agency.
Yeah, same thing here. Because I get people like asking, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you format for me? Can you do marketing? No, I can't.
Yeah,
I know
it's a whole different scope. And I think that's what's important is allowing people to understand what that actually looks like. So breaking it down and saying, this is the writing process, this is the editing process, this is the publishing, the marketing, etc. process. And then they start to get it like, oh, right. One person probably isn't going to do all of those things because you wouldn't have time for anything else.
There's so many steps to it.
There's so many steps.
And a lot of people are just kind of like, a lot of hand holding too.
Yeah, which is understandable. I mean, like anything, if you've never done it before, you need somebody to guide you through, which is awesome. It's why I do what I do, to be able to offer that service.
Which is great. We need all the help we can get, you know. And
Yeah, yeah.
and how do you manage to embody the client's voice and style in your writing so it's authentic? What are the tricks to channel your client, so to speak? I know that's very tricky, but show us your secrets.
Yeah, so I would love to give you some. I can't. And it's the reason being is because I work intuitively. I always have. It's just, it's one of my superpowers, I guess, is I just can. I don't, I don't know how I can. There's not a format that I follow or a structure. It just comes through me.
So
So
you're an empath, I would say.
I am a huge empath.
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go. I mean,
Yeah.
highly sensitive person, HSP.
HSP.
But
Mhm.
you're like way up when it comes to in relation
Yeah.
to my level of intuition.
I think we all have our own skill set that comes with the level that we're at when it comes to our
Right.
intuition and empathic abilities, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how do you do all the technical stuff like negotiating copyright, contracts, credits, NDAs, so both the client and the ghostwriter are happy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, right? Like I'm the writer. So it's their responsibility to take anything to an attorney, have it reviewed, all contracts and everything. I have the contracts written. When I've worked with book publishers, they have their own contracts, which those are between the ghostwriter and the author and the publisher. So those are established. Anything that they need to have reviewed by an attorney, though, that's completely up to them to do so. That's not my responsibility.
Just wash your hands. Like after writing, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I hold integrity very
Mhm.
high in my list. It's a big value for me, and I would never, ever, ever compromise that for myself or my client,
Of course.
ever. Yeah.
And are there any real differences between self-publishing and traditional publishing in terms of the ghostwriting process? Are pretty much the same?
The only difference really is with a traditional publisher, if they want you to have certain aspects of your story cut out, that's up to them, right? So then the ghostwriter essentially has to modify based on their requests. And that's what I'm seeing more and more right now, honestly, is a lot of people that have had this dream of going to a traditional publisher. They get the deal with the publisher, and then they're told, oh, this part of the story actually can't be in there. So that's a thing with self-publishing, is you get to put whatever you want in there, which is
Yes.
amazing. So the
Right.
ghostwriting process is really going to be dependent on who are you answering to, right? Like, yes, I'm answering to my client being the author, but there's also the component, if you are writing directly with a traditional publishing house, there are some rules to follow.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, what happens after the ghostwriting part is done? What are the next steps? This is for the noobs.
Yeah, so after the manuscript is written, of course, there's the editing process, there's the design process, the formatting process, the marketing that goes into it, which all of those things are so much bigger than a lot of people realize. You should be marketing your book as you're writing your book, not when the book is done. You should be seeding it from the very beginning of first inception, where you go, okay, I'm starting this process. When it comes to book design, that's another one that people seem to be really confused about. You don't
Yes.
hire just any designer to design your book. Here's why. So think about, you open a book and you're holding it, right? Traditional book. A book designer knows where your thumbs are going to go. So they're formatting a book based on where your thumbs are going to go. Also, you'll notice in a book pages are thinner.
Yes.
So the person who's designing them knows your text copy on both sides has to match. Otherwise, it's going to be
Mhm. Yes.
all over the page, right? And like if there's sunlight, that's distracting, all of those things. So there's a lot that goes into hiring the right type of designer. And anybody who tells me like, oh, I'm a designer, I can totally design your book, I'm like, you could
Mm-mm.
probably do the cover, but you can't do the
Yes.
inside.
Interior design and covers are completely different animals.
Completely different. Yep.
Yeah, as a proofreader, I have to check all the design elements. If people think, oh, just grammar and spelling and punctuation. Nope, I have to check
Not the same.
formatter's work. I have to check the designer's work too.
Yes, 100%. Super important.
And people need to know all of these moving parts because they get everything confused. Even the design part, not just editing and proofreading, even the design too.
Yeah. And I do want to say, like, although there are so many different elements, I don't ever want people to feel like overwhelmed by the fact that this is too much, so I'm not going to do it. The fact of the matter is like, it's anything that you do is going to have different steps and components to it. Just be prepared to be in the process and hire the people that know how to do it so you don't feel overwhelmed.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And, what else do you do aside from ghostwriting, creating content? Like, what's the typical scope of your project?
I mean, that's what I do. I write content, I write copy, I write content. So as long as my clients have to be mission-driven brands or entrepreneurs, so in the personal development space, in the mindset space, in the empowerment space, and as long as they're in that spirituality, all of the woo-woo section is what I call it.
My thing.
Yes, me too. As long as they're in that, I can create content. So anything you need for a business, I can do that.
Completely right brain, creative aspects, you know?
Yes. But it's weird because I have this piece of me that can project manage and do structure really well. So
yes, which is why I become an editor. It's the left brain. I started as a writer, the creative side of things. You know? You have to integrate your brain, your left brain or right brain. The hemispheres coming together
completely.
It's a holistic approach to it. And is there anything else potential clients and publishing professionals should know about ghostwriting? Just feel free to add any info.
No, I just think that the biggest thing is be prepared to make the financial investment. There is a minimal time investment, to be honest. Like, the time investment isn't that of the author at that point, which is amazing. It frees you up to do the things that, you know, you feel really passionate about and that you are here to do in the world. Aligning with the ghostwriter is so important. And don't just choose a ghostwriter because it's the cheapest option. You will get the cheapest work, in my experience, and it's going to create more time and energy for you to go back and have that redone.
More money, more everything. More
Yeah. Yep.
It goes with anything. It applies to anything in life, really.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to the whole thing, the whole topic in general?
No, I mean, other than I think if anybody that is listening to this is feeling called to share a story, tap into that, because there's a reason that you're feeling that piece of you wanting to come forward. And a lot of people stop out of fear. And I get that. I totally get that. And judge-free zone completely. But at the end of the day, if you're feeling called to share something, figure out the way in which you want to share, right? Like, it could be a YouTube channel, it could be a blog, it could be a book. It doesn't matter. The point is like, that calling, I truly believe, is there for a reason. And when we don't answer that, we continue to get these little nudges from the universe until they start screaming, right? And then you're like, oh, why are you yelling so loud? And they're like, no, we've been trying to tell you this for a while now. Execute. So do something about it. Don't just sit on that idea.
I need to take that advice too, because I've been really itching to write about something big issue, especially with what's going on right now. It's something I've been aware of, because being a truth seeker and something who was in touch with the spiritual world, so this is not a surprise to me. It's just like, oh, there it is. It manifests. You know, there it is.
Completely.
Okay, tell us how to get in touch with you so people can get started.
Yeah. So my website is just CherieTrask.com. I'm on social media, Cherie Trask, and Instagram, Facebook. I have a very little YouTube channel. I don't really use it.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I just watch YouTube. I just want to post this video on YouTube, but that's about it, you know?
Yeah.
It's a different animal, you know?
Completely.
It's became my animal. Here's my dog.
Oh.
Okay. I think that's about it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. I hope you guys will join us next time. just feel free to suggest any topics. It's free for all. It's for your good. All right. Thanks so
Perfect.
much. Peace out, everybody.
Bye, Nancy.
Okay, bye.